cheese. It's known as queso fresca in Mexico. It's known as paneer, perhaps, in India. And I call it simple farm cheese. This is farm milk from a local dairy, unpasteurized in this case. Little bits and pieces. I'm going to add it into my makeshift double boiler. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to the bottom of the pan, just till it touches the bottom of this other pan. And get the fire going. Let that heat up. And I'm going to add the milk. And in this case, this is about 6-day-old milk. Ready to make cheese out of it. This one, a little more. I'm just adding enough to fill it up about 3/4 of the way with milk. And from here, we're just going to allow it to sit and warm up. We've been boiling the water in the bottom of the double boiler, heating up the milk, and I wait until it starts to get a little skin on the top and little bubbles around the edges. It is not boiling, but it's bringing the temperature up to almost a boil. And then from there, I take a lemon. And for this one, I'm going to use, depends on the size of your lemon, and it depends on the alkalinity of your milk. We're going to add enough lemon to get the curds and whey to separate. So, I'm going to go ahead and squeeze that in. Don't want any seeds to get in, so I'm going to just squeeze the lemon juice. And you know, if I don't have a lemon or a lime, which I particularly like the flavor of lemon in my cheese, but if I don't have that, I'll use a little cider vinegar, and that works really good too. So I'm going to start with a half a lemon. This is a medium lemon, but if you had a bigger lemon, it'd probably be a half a lemon. If you look closely in the cheese, I'm just going to stir that in, and it's really kind of like a science experiment for me. That didn't seem like enough lemon, so this is a small sized lemon, so I'm going to use probably most of it before it starts separating. If you look closely in there, you're going to start seeing it clump up. It's beginning to. Get as much of the lemon out as I can. Okay. And then from there, I'm just going to stir it in. When it gets to the right alkaline and acidic combination, then the curds will separate from the whey. The whey will become more clear, and the cheese will begin to clump up. You're seeing it's already starting to clump. Just letting it do its magic. The cheese is definitely beginning to attach itself to the spoon. You see all that? But the whey has not completely separated out of here quite yet. Almost. See if I can get a little more of that lemon in there. See, in this case, it took a whole lemon. Okay, got one seed in there, oh well. All right, come on, whey, separate completely. Look how much cheese, though, is starting to glob. But you know, it's still looking like there's quite a bit of milk in the whey. So, and that's W-H-E-Y, whey. I'm going to use a little bit of cider vinegar because I'm out of lemons. And I'm just going to use maybe a tablespoon. I think that's going to set it off. Oops. Yikes. We're down to the bottom of my, there. Just a little bit more. That was about a tablespoon. Let's see what happens now. It's, like I said, it's chemistry. Once it hits the right amount, all of the curd will separate from the whey. Look at all that cheese. Okay. You can stop for a minute. So it's not an exact measurement, you know. It really depends on how much fat is in the milk. It really does. So this one took about 1.5 small lemons. Wow, look at all that cheese though, huh? I've tried this with goat milk and it does make very tiny curds. It doesn't glob the way cow milk will. All right. A little bit more. There. So now, there it is. There it went. Did you see this? Now the whey is kind of a yellow, and it's more like water rather than a creamy milk. It's gone. It's turned to yellow and it's very watery. See that? The difference in color? Mm-hmm. That's when I know the process really happened. It's done. So in this batch, I had to add a little bit more vinegar. That 1.5 lemons was just not enough. And in other batches, half a lemon is enough. It really just depends on how much. I added a little extra cream to this batch, so it did take more to separate. See that? Total whey and cheese there. And so now I'm going to take the curd, which is the cheese, and I'm going to pull out a big bowl. Let's use this one. Big bowl. Shoots. And I'm going to pour off my cheese. Pouring off the whey mostly. There goes the cheese. Still a little bit of cheese in there. That's the curd. Curds are our cheese. There we go. And it's hot. Separating the whey from the curds. Look how it doesn't even stick to my colander. This is quite nice. It just rolls into a nice ball. Look at that. I'm not squeezing it out or anything. I'm just sort of letting it roll around. Most of the whey drips off. And I'll let that drip. And before it cools off too much, I'm basically just letting a lot of the excess whey drip out. And then, when most of that water is done dripping, I say water, but it's really whey. The whey, yeah. This is the whey. It's actually very nutritious. I sometimes feed it to the chickens. They love it. The cats love it. The dog loves it. And it's actually very tasty when I make it with lemon juice. It just has a lemony, high protein drink. So sometimes I'll drink this throughout the day. I'll have a little bit of whey. And I like it. I like it. I think it's very nutritious. There's all kinds of things you can do with the whey besides feeding your animals. Also, when I sometimes create fermented carrots or fermented foods, I'll add a little bit of the whey because it creates a nice activation and does all kinds of magic. I don't know what all it does, but it gets some good stuff in there. And there's our cheese. Quite beautiful. Now what I do with that, I put it in a container. I'm going to use a glass bowl. It's just right. It's still got a little bit of dripping going on, so I'm just going to roll it around just a little bit more. Again, I'm not squeezing it out. I don't want all the good stuff to get squeezed out of this cheese. I want to hold as much of the cream in there. And that's about it. Nice little ball. I roll that into my form. If I want to create a square, then I'll use a square container. If I want to make a nice round cheese, I'll just smoosh it into there. Sometimes I'll go ahead and put herbs right in there right away and salt it up. This is just totally straight up. And as it cools, it's going to take that form and firm up. And that's it. It's as simple as that. That's as simple as that. Now we have some delicious farm cheese. Later, I'll do some other kinds of processes. Like I'll can this up with herbs and oil. It's so delicious. And cut it into little cubes and serve it up for a little later today for our dinner.